What is your priority? And are you living based on your priority? These are the things that I want you to start keeping your mind on and start to understand that this is not optional. This is part of wealth building, but you have to decide for yourself what is of value to you.
Welcome to the Money Fit MD show. I'm Dr. Latifat, the founder of Money Fit MD.
We want to change the narrative where women physicians use. My job is to let you know that's gonna be. I have to surround myself with people that are doing crazy things. When you're a first generation wealth builder, especially as a woman physician, and no one has demonstrated or really exemplified for you how to navigate being a partner, being a wife, and also while still being the CEO of your family's finances, how do you handle both of those things that sometimes may seem to be pulling you in different directions? So, I want to talk about that today because as someone that has talked with so many women physicians, coached many physicians, many of them that are first generational wealth builders, this comes up quite often. If you haven't met me, I'm Dr. Latifat. I'm a GI doctor, mama of three little ladies. Well, they're growing, and also the founder of MoneyFit MD. Everything we do on this platform is geared towards helping you as a woman physician thrive. A significant portion of the women that I work with are first generational wealth builders. And what that means is they may be the first in their family. You may be the first in your family to command the kind of income that you're commanding. You may be the first in your family to have goals of like not working, not overworking, working part-time, taking a sabbatical, growing your net worth. You may be the first millionaire in your family or the first inspiring millionaire in your family. And so you are in this position of being the leader. You're in this position of being the first to go forward, right? The first to do things. And maybe now your children, your nieces, your nephews are now looking at you, your siblings may be looking at you, and now you are the source of education, inspiration, but you are the leader in your immediate environment. If that's you, we got you, boo. We got you, boo. Hey, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. So, I'm recording this episode because, again, this conversation comes up so often. But I will say that I was speaking with a woman physician recently who is one of the amazing women that I get the honor of serving. And this was something that was coming up for her, which is, you are the one that is leading the family when it comes to wealth building. Many of my women are visionaries. What does that mean? Maybe their family's been doing okay, being middle class in terms of like how their financial aspirations, but now this women are getting the nudge of like, okay, we have the capacity for more. We want to unsubscribe from this life of like living income to income, relying on our paycheck. We want to diversify outside of our clinical income. We want to take vacations. We want to take long breaks. We want to take sabbaticals. Like you, for some reason, are the one that is getting this idea of creating a life that's bigger than maybe most people around you, right? But then on the other side of that, you're like, okay, but I'm also a partner, I'm a spouse, and maybe they've called you bossy. Maybe they've called you bossy. They called you bossy at work, and now like people are looking at you at home like you got this bossy energy going, right? And the question becomes like, how do you navigate this? And I know that for some of you guys that maybe you grew up in homes where your dad was the one that was like leading the family energetically, and maybe it's been modeled to you to follow and not co-lead, right? And now you're at a place where you're like, how do I do this, Latifat? Because on one hand you want to like fly, but on the other hand you're like, I want to have a good home, I want to have a good relationship, I want to enjoy my family. And now you're struggling with both things. If that's you, I want you to know, first of all, that you're not alone. This is a very, very common phenomenon that happens, especially in women that have not been modeled to how to lead like a boss, like a CEO, but also how to partner in alignment. And what I've also found is that when you start the journey towards financial freedom, when you have this drive and this call to live a life that's bigger than maybe what you were doing before, there's can be a sense of like we are behind, right? We are behind. Maybe you're looking out in the world, you're hearing about other people's partners and seeing them like fly and doing all those things when it comes to their finances. And without even knowing it, you may start to compare your own spouse with your thoughts and your imagination of what someone else's spouse may look like. One of the things that I've done in the past as a woman that didn't have that modeled for her was I have had my husband actually, she like come visit inside of the money school where we had honest conversations and let the women like ask any questions they had about how to sort of like navigate this. The other thing that women of the money school get access to is, of course, they get access to me. They get access to coaching with me. They get access to, my own understanding, my own wealth of knowledge. But also, one of the things that they get access to is this. I don't talk much about this, but we have those secret modules for women that are members of the money school. And part of the secret modules they get access to are these interviews that I've had with seven-figure women physicians that are just like bossing it. No one is perfect at this, but that are bossing it when it comes to how they're navigating those two relationships. And so our members of the money school get access to those replays inside of the course module there. The secret modules, we don't really talk too much about them, but this particular one is a seven-figure relationships. And so I'm interviewing women that I respect, women that I've seen go through not perfect relationship again, but I've navigated that so that you can learn from the diversity of experiences. And I've gotten messages from my members that are like, this is so helpful. And honestly, even those modules by themselves alone are so like the value, the return that you potentially get in having more peace of mind, less financial fights. Because, guys, let's just remember that money is one of the top reasons why relationships like break apart, right? So it's so important for us to be able to navigate this. And you may be wondering, like, why is this important? Why is Latifah talking about this? Well, if you've been around my block, yes, this is my block, the Money Fit MD block. If you've been around this block, one of the things that I talk about frequently is the importance of what I call the arms of wealth. So when it comes to wealth, it's not only money that's part of wealth building. There are also things like your social network, like your relationship, that are part of your net worth growth, right? And so part of this is when we make sure that you are aligning your finances, your time, your energy, your resources to wholesome wealth. That includes this part. So I don't want you to, have money and if your relationships are important to you, I don't want you sacrificing your relationship. Right? You guys may have heard me talk about this before. Like when it comes to my priorities, number one, my fifth is in my relationship with God is the number one thing, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my kids, and my family, and then everything else comes after. Right? Doesn't mean that I do that perfectly, but that's my priority. It doesn't have to be yours, but it's so important for you to be very, very clear about what is important to you because I understand my priority, so I'm making decisions based on that priority. If that's not yours, then the question I have for you is what is your priority? And are you living based on your priority? Or are you letting like just randomness decide what's important to you or what is important in life for you? Right. So these are the things that I want you to start keeping your mind on and start to understand that this is not optional. This is part of wealth building, but you have to decide for yourself what is of value to you, what is important to you. And to be honest with you, when I'm coaching inside of the money school, I know our members, I know what they've decided to be the things that they want to prioritize. So when I'm coaching them, I am literally auditing like what arms are weak, like how can we make them stronger, right? And those are the things that are important. So I want to share with you guys today some of the things that I want you to start to think about and just being more aware of when it comes to navigating what I'm calling the CEO energy versus like spousal energy and the codependence or yeah, interdependence, for lack of a better term, that I believe should exist in your family if you want to enjoy your relationship. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the energy part, the energetic part. So I want you to pay attention to how you're like, what your energy feels like when you're like bossing it up. And what I mean by bossing it up, like, you're a physician, you're like, what's the assessment and plan? You're an ER doctor. It's like, okay, if someone is coding, like, you like, I need a whatever, whatever. You're a surgeon, you're a primary care doctor. Like, we are bosses, right? And there is this whole thing about like masculine, feminine energy, and I'm not going to go into micro details about it, but if you pay attention to the energy that you're using many times whether you're investing, the energy you're using when you're like go getting, the energy you're using when you're a physician, that energy tends to be almost feels like there's a gradient between that and the energy of being home with your family. And that is true whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're in a relationship. It's a completely different energy, right? And it's so important for us to start being aware of the fact that there needs to be different ways of managing the energy based on the environment that you're in.
And the goal of this is not, oh, don't be yourself. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying don't be yourself. I want you to be yourself. But the point that I'm trying to share with you is that it's about being aware and about being, it's adulting really. It's about having wisdom to the fact that what you do in one container may not be the right thing for the other container. Imagine someone like, if someone's a toddler or infant or whatever, they can pee on the floor in their diapers, they can like poop on themselves. But as an adult, you should not be doing that. But also as an adult, you know that we poop in the toilet. So like, why are you talking about poop? I'm a GI doctor. What you want? What you want? When you poop in the bathroom, you know that you should poop in the bathroom, but you should not be pooping on the floor of your bedroom, right? And that means that things that are acceptable in one area is not acceptable in another area. There are things you do in the privacy of your bedroom that you're not doing like in your front lawn, right? So it is not a matter of like, oh, am I pretending? Am I not being myself? No, it is a matter of having the wisdom to understand that your energy in one room cannot be the same as your energy in another room, right? I want you to think about like when you're talking with your patients, different patients require different energy. Some of them straight shooter, some of them a little bit more TLC, very, very, very different, right? So I want you to start being aware of that energy and whether you're going more towards like that masculine energy versus like the feminine energy. And again, it's not a matter of like going one extreme versus the other, is asking yourself which one is appropriate for the circumstance right now. Like if there's something going on at home, I'm trying to like make decisions. There is a part of my brain that I need to get into that helps me make decisions more efficiently. But when I'm talking about what our financial goals as a family should be, when I'm talking about like how are our spending plan going, when I'm talking about okay, what is like, let's look at what's going on with our expenses, our investments. Like it's a conversational energy. It's a conversation energy where there is acknowledgement of the fact that this other human that I'm talking to may have a different skill set from mine, but this is a capable human being as well. So it's going back also to that idea of like sovereignty and understanding that you are not more potent, more powerful than someone else just because this is an area that you have developed interest in. You're the one that is leading in this regard. Like when I think about even my husband and I, when it comes to IT, I'm like a preschooler. And so when I think about if he communicates with me as if I'm stupid, as if I'm foolish, without respect, without seeing that Latifat has other skill sets. And this is just one where she's not the one that's leading the home. If he communicated with me like that, how would I feel? Right? How would I feel? And I know that for many of us, it's not like we're trying to be unkind, but there's also fear in the back of your mind. There's fear of I'm behind. I'm going to be behind. Everyone is going to leave me. And this person is pulling me back. This person is sabotaging our wellness. This, like, those are thoughts that you may be having. And the question that I have for you is when you have those thoughts, is it helping you have more kind conversations? Or is it making you think and picture your spouse as being like the enemy of progress? Okay. So maybe that's something that you actually want to take some time and write down and ask yourself, like, when it comes to my relationship with my spouse, especially when it comes to our finances, what are some thoughts that I may have about maybe my spouse jeopardizing our growth? Right? And see what actions are you taking as a result of those thoughts and ask yourself, is this what you want or do you want to change it? Because if you want to change it, then it's time to start being aware of the energy. It's time to be aware of the thoughts. Okay. Number two thing is this, guys. There's a reason why I was not there when you and your spouse decided to get together. There's a reason why you decided. And because you are a reasonable human being, I'm assuming they're like reasonable reasons why you picked this person. So the fact that you're so hyper focused on one thing right now, which is the fact that they're sabotaging, you want the financial growth and all of that, it's so important for you to take a step back and bird's eye view, and start to ask yourself questions like, in what way, what other value is my partner bringing into this relationship? In what way are they serving already that I'm not actually acknowledging? Because sometimes what happens is this, what you focus on grows. And if you're focusing on lack, you will see lack. If you're focusing on where they suck, you will see that they suck. This is not like, oh, fooling yourself or pretending. This is actually you getting an honest global picture of what is actually going on, as opposed to the skewed picture that you may be focusing on right now because all you're focusing on is lack. So the question I have for you as this number two thing is, what are some things that your spouse is doing right now that you are not acknowledging, that you are not looking at because you're so hyper focused on one thing, right? You have a blind spot right now potentially because you're not seeing the things that they're doing. And one of the things that I found to be true is that we all have different ways of people call it love language. We all have different love languages. Your spouse, their love language may be words of affirmation. Their love language may be time, may be respect. And one of the things that I found to be true is that when you understand your spouse's love language and you feed that love language, it will be like there's so much that you will get as a benefit from it. Literally. Sometimes I tell my women, my members in my money school, I'm like, they probably will scale a fence for you. And the crazy thing is this, if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking about all the things they're doing wrong, all the things they're done wrong, how they're messing up, and all of that stuff. And that may be true. However, I will say that as someone who hopefully maybe you trust a little bit enough to like actually listen to me talk today. I have had the honor of like coaching many women physicians when it comes to their money, their wealth building, including this particular aspect. And what I found to be true is in many of them, when they change, not all, but in many, when they start to change the frame, the way that they're looking at their relationship with their spouse, especially when it comes to money, they actually start to soften a little bit and they start to see the value that their spouse may be bringing to the table. And I'll give you an example. So when it comes to investing, in real estate, there are times even in my relationship where I may be like, okay, why don't we look at this market? Why don't we look at this property? But when it comes to like running the numbers, I may do like a quick overview. But in terms of like spreadsheets, my husband is so much better when it comes to spreadsheets. He is great at reading fine prints. He's the guy that will read like all the 100 pages on the fine prints of stuff. That's the value. That's part of the value that it brings to our financial relationship, right? So if you were gonna judge me, if that was your own mark of what a successful person should do is read all the fine prints and be the one to run like all the spreadsheets, you will literally be having the wrong chick. You got the wrong girl. Right. And if I was looking at the things that I was doing and judging him based on that, I would think like I got the wrong dude. But part of this is understanding like you are both meant to complement each other. You're both meant to be able to see each other's like blind spots so that you can grow together. This is not in terms of like, oh, if your spouse is overspending. No, I'm talking about the value that they bring into the relationship when it comes to strategy, skill set, and all of that stuff. And I will bet my bum on the fact that you're probably ignoring some areas that they're bringing value in. And the goal of this is not to be like, is not to be right. The goal of this is not to be wrong. The goal is for you to have the home life that you love, a home life that is enjoyable. And part of this is when you start to see things that I've talked about, you start to go from being more of like a sympathetic nervous system fight or flight, thinking they're here to jeopardize you, to being more like parasympathetic, like more rest and digest, which means that you start to show each other's heart a little bit more. So more kindness, essentially. So that's number two. Again, the first one is I want you to be aware of the energy that you're bringing into the relationship in terms of like the CEO mode versus the partnership mode. And then number two is I want you to start paying attention and increasing your awareness of not just where they lack, but where they're giving value, where their strength is that you may not be appreciating already. Okay. And then the last but not the least is this. Yo, there's this song. I'm not gonna sing it, don't worry. But this song talks about how adulting is a scam. Adulting is a scam. So I am recording this in September, and I had the pleasure of speaking at some events recently, some conferences and retreats over the last couple of days. And there was someone in the room that I was coaching on the arms of wealth, which is one of the things that I teach our women inside of the money school and how to have wholesome wealth. And for her, I asked her a question, or one of the things that she wanted to work on was play/fun. And I asked her when was the last time she had fun, and she told me the things that she was doing to have fun. And I'm so glad that I was sensitive to this part because I was like, okay, wait a minute. That sounds like fun, but you're not playing. And she was like, "You're right, I'm not playing." And so I kind of pushed on her, like pushed, just give her a little gentle nudge in terms of the fact that play and fun are very, very different. And for you, I want you to think back to before you, when you first started your relationship with your spouse. Maybe you guys have kids now. So pre-kids, PK, pre-kids, pre-K, before kids, before life got busy, before y'all got older, before you guys had business success, before you guys had business failures, just you as a human, you as an individual. I want you to go back to those moments. And I want you to think about what were some of the things that you guys enjoyed doing together. And the reason why I bring this up is that it's many times we think about fun, like I'm taking a vacation and all of that. That's fun. But when was the last time you actually played with your spouse? There's something unique about playing with your spouse. It brings you back to being the girl that met this person. It brings you back. It brings them back to being, the boy, the human, right? That you fell in love with, that you admired. And this is so important, guys. The more successful you are, the more important it is for you to be in tune with just you, the human that you are. So, how are you as a human aligning with this partner of yours as a human? And my challenge to you is this: if you have not played with your spouse recently, if you guys haven't and then what is playing? You guys, what did you do before? I wasn't there, right? For us, one of the things we like doing, we do things like, um I like laser tagging, going to like amusement parks, those sort of things, like, standing in line and not letting kids get in front of us. Not our kids, other kids, like being the worst adults in the regard. Just have fun. Just play, laugh, watch a comedy. And again, fun feels different compared to play. What I'm asking you about is playing with your spouse. The more you play with your spouse, the easier it is to have conversations, right? Because everybody puts down their arms. You put down your tools, your weaponry, all of that is now down. And you can just have more kind, more human conversations that touch the heart. So, those are three things that I wanted to share with you today about how you can start to navigate this, can sometimes feel like friction between the CEO self. Am I a CEO or am I a partner? CEO versus partner energy. And so, my question for you is this: imagine if you actually did this work. You did the first thing that I said by checking the energy and asking yourself, is this what I want or do I want to change it? By focusing less on lack, but more of what value are they bringing that you haven't actually appreciated, using one of their love languages, which for a lot of people, words do matter. Words without attitude, words without you rolling your eyes, because our eyes sometimes is speaking louder than anything else. And then the last but not the least is, how can I infuse play into this relationship? How can I infuse play into this relationship? I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has been, I'm going to challenge you and just invite you to share with other women physicians. You can text it to your friends, email it to your friends. You can share it on your Facebook, on your Instagram, on your LinkedIn, and just tag me on it so I can give you a shout out. And by the way, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're like, Latifat, I hear you, I feel you. Like, where are the women that are having these conversations? I'm all alone. It just feels like I'm struggling with this. My relationship is getting stressed. I want to grow my wealth, but this part is also struggling. That's you. I want you to know that there's a community for you. There's a community of women physicians just like you inside of the Money School, which is our 12-month coaching program for women physicians just like you that are growing their finances, that are living life on their terms, and they want to not sacrifice the things that matter to them. And for some of you guys, that may be your relationship. So if you want to learn more about the Money School, go to moneyfitmd.com/call, CALL. You can schedule a complimentary consultation. Let's chat. Let's see where you are, what you're trying to do. And if I can be of service with you, I'm happy to share more about what happens inside of the Money School. And if I don't think you'll be a good fit for the community, one of the things that I pride myself in doing is sharing that with people and connecting them with resources that can be helpful. So thank you so much again for listening to this podcast. Thank you for leaving us reviews. Thank you for sharing. We're on a mission to help women physicians just like you not feel alone. Women physicians just like you build wealth. Women physicians just like you live the life that they want without sacrificing what is of value to them. So you're not alone.
We're here to serve you. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you, and I look forward to serving you. Take care. Goodbye.